Earlier on Fake Britain, we followed Police and Trading Standards cracking down on a suspected memorabilia faker.
We've got bags and bags of blank shirts.
Whether it's to do with sports or pop music, collectible memorabilia is now a multi-million-pound industry, popular with teenage fans and adult collectors alike. At this established and reputable memorabilia fair in Kensington, big money changes hands for celebrity-signed merchandise. But fake memorabilia of all sorts is on the rise, with people across the country losing hundreds and in some cases thousands of pounds. Jane Boddy from Hampshire is a lifelong Manchester United fan and loves to buy anything to do with her club or her heroes.
My parents left me some money when they died, and I was debating on what to do with it. I wanted to use it for something so it would help me remember them. And I thought, what better than my passion for football? I love football. So I thought, I'll buy as much as I can. And then I found Steve. That was when I started spending a lot of money.
The Steve in question was Steve Pearson. He'd risen through the local community to become a stadium announcer at Portsmouth Football Club.
He scored the goal! He's got his bank.
Pearson opened a shop selling sporting memorabilia. He was fast gaining local celebrity status, and Jane was impressed.
Steve was a brilliant person. He went into the shop, he was chatty and friendly and gave you cups of tea and talked very knowledgeable about, football. And so everything that he sold you, you'd think, oh, it's wonderful, it's signed by this player, it's signed by that player.
Jane couldn't resist. She was drawn in by Pearson's seemingly encyclopedic knowledge of sporting memorabilia. Before long, she was spending vast sums of money in the shop.
I've spent about £9,000 plus on, like for instance, my Bobby Moore shirt, Maradona, a Messi shirt, Cruyff, Cantona, programmes as well. I've got some 1968 European final programme, and that's got 4 signatures on it, which looked wonderful.
At first glance, everything that Jane was spending thousands of pounds of her inheritance on did look wonderful. Suddenly, she got a call from Trading Standards. Jane was about to discover that Pearson and his glossy signed sports memorabilia were not all they appeared to be.
Somebody informed Trading Standards that they thought Steve Pearson was selling fake goods. Thought, there's probably just somebody's got a gripe against Steve or something. I was still going down the shop once or twice a week, and then I suddenly realised the second time he came round and warned me not to go down the shop anymore, I realised then I was in trouble.
Trading Standards Service, Craig Copeland speaking.
The Portsmouth Trading Standards officer who'd called Jane was Craig Copeland. Craig had been getting some very worrying phone calls about Steve Pearson and the signed memorabilia that he was selling.
The allegations against him were that they were either purchased counterfeit goods that he was selling off as genuine, or that he was actually creating these signatures on the products.
Pearson was selling all sorts of memorabilia out of 2 high street shops, to everyone from collectors spending thousands to teenagers spending their pocket money.
So here we are at what used to be Hall of Fame. It's now perfectly legitimate business being operated out of here, but this was the place where our victims would come. They feel like part of a club. They were drawn in by his stories of his days at Fratton Park.
Allegations about Steve Pearson selling fake memorabilia were now flooding in. It was time for Trading Standards to draft in an expert opinion. So they turned to leading autograph and memorabilia specialist Gary King. His knowledge of memorabilia, both real and fake, has helped to bring dozens of prosecutions and even put one fraudster behind bars. Gary believes that fake memorabilia is rife across the country.
Fake memorabilia is a serious problem, in particular in the sports world. Signed shirts, photographs, that sort of thing. It's a massive, massive problem for any body if you're a collector or if you're a dealer. There's so many items out there that are just absolute rubbish.
It was up to Gary to examine Jane's football memorabilia and to break some very bad news.
It's
Yes.
certainly not Peter Shilton,
No.
and that is definitely not Bobby Charlton. If you put
The signatures of footballing legends Peter Shilton, Bobby Charlton, Ronaldinho,
But I would say that that is not authentic.
Look.
all of them fake. Gary established that Jane's rare signed programme from the 1968 Euro Cup final, which should have been worth up to £300 if genuine, was not what it seemed.
What a collector's item, I thought. Unfortunately, this too is also fake. None of them are original signatures. They're all fake.
Jane is fascinated by Bobby Moore, the England captain who famously held the World Cup aloft after England's 1966 win. So her biggest purchase from Pearson was a signed Bobby Moore shirt.
Very proud of this. It was out of my hall. It's like a holy grail, really. And then you find, no, it's not Bobby Moore. £650 plus 150 for the frame. It was a fake shirt. And now I've got a house full of stuff that's no use to anybody now. It's devastating, really.
Jane had unwittingly surrounded herself with fake memorabilia worth far less than she paid for it. But at least one good thing was to come out of this. Gary King's analysis of the fakes gave Craig and the team at Portsmouth Trading Standards enough evidence to finally raid Steve Pearson's property. They were shocked by the scale of what they found. Over 100 items of fake signed memorabilia. And not just football.
This is a glove containing the signature of Muhammad Ali. It's definitely not the signature of Muhammad Ali. We found one of these on sale in his shop for £900. It's a massive amount, and anybody who's going to part with that much money to get an item like this, I mean, is going to be absolutely devastated.
And it turns out that Steve Pearson was also into his music.
So here we got a guitar which is supposedly signed by 3 members of Queen, so that would be John Deacon, Roger Taylor and Brian May. This is definitely not a legitimate item. These signatures are fake signatures.
Pearson's fakery even infected the certificates of authenticity that came with the memorabilia to fool people into thinking it was the real deal.
May basically outline that he's purchasing only from reputable dealers, that he's a member of a trade organisation, and this, of course, is completely not the case. He has no expertise in the industry. He's never been a member of the trade associations that he claimed to be, and these are not worth the paper they're printed on.
Pearson had fooled dozens of collectors with his fake memorabilia, but he wasn't just targeting superfans. He was also targeting investors. Jim Conway from Portsmouth invests in rare memorabilia. He collects everything from cars to guitars.
In total, with Steve Pearson, I approximately spent 6,000 to 7,000 over 5 years. I was spending not only just to build up a nice collection, but later on it would be my pension money, and one day I'll say, oh, I'll sell it now and get a nice lump back. Hopefully it was going to go up in value.
See what you got.
As an expert witness in the case, Gary had to examine some of the memorabilia that Jim bought from Steve Pearson, but he hasn't yet seen everything. Today, he's visiting Jim to see if he might be able to bring some good news.
Let's have a look. Well, that's not Tiger Woods. I don't recall seeing an item signed by Tiger Woods where he's also added good luck. No, it's not authentic.
Gary also examines this apparently rare photograph signed by John Lennon.
Now, how much did you pay for this?
About 200.
£200. It's printed. As a print, it's probably something you could buy on, in a shop somewhere for nothing more than £10.
Wow.
Sorry about that. Really am, because I know how much people get attached to to these things, and then sadly you find out the truth.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when it's too late.
Right.
But Jim hasn't only bought memorabilia from Steve Pearson over the years. He's been an investor for decades and bought a range of signed electric guitars from other sellers before he even knew about Steve Pearson. During filming, Gary spots them and decides to take a closer look.
This one is meant to be the Rolling Stones. So we've got Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, Ronnie Wood. This is Charlie Watts. And I honestly have no idea who that one is meant to be at all.
Okay.
But they are not authentic. That was signed in somebody's bedroom. And this one here, this one's pink,
Yeah.
but it's not Pink Floyd. They are very difficult to get signatures from. Dave Gilmour in particular is a very tough signature to get. He doesn't like signing things like this. He knows you're going to sell it.
Shockingly, these aren't the only unexpected fakes in Jim's collection. Bruce, Cliff, the Eagles, they're all fake.
I expected Steve Pearson's to be fake because of the nature of the investigation and the court case. But obviously I didn't expect these to be fake, which never even come
Unfortunately, Steve Pearson is not the only person
who's I know,
faking this stuff and then selling it online.
Yeah.
It's very, very easy for people to
Yeah.
do. That's the problem. It's upsetting, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I'm not collecting no more. Not interested.
Yeah, you shouldn't let it put you off.
Yes, it'll be the last ones I buy. It has put me off collecting, you know, because there's so many unscrupulous people out there. And as I said, I thought Steve Pearson was a friend, but obviously he was just lining his own pockets.
Steve Pearson eventually pleaded guilty to 13 counts of fraud and was ordered to pay over £2,500 compensation to his victims. He was sentenced to 14 months in prison, suspended for 2 years, and given 200 hours community service. But it will take Jim and Jane longer than that to get over their loss.
It's the fact he's got me, it's the fact he's done everybody else.
What are you feeling right now?
Upset with him, angry with him. You're just kind of shattered because all of a sudden you've got a room full of stuff that's not worth anything. The amount of money that I've lost will always be with me.